So every now and then in Albuquerque it does rain. We do get 300 days of sunshine per year. But today is not one of them. Actually, we're getting a nice bit of rain here. You can hear it on the roof, maybe. Anyways, some people are still flying. There's an airplane over there. Well, that one landed, I should say. Albuquerque pilots New Mexico pilots are pretty tame about the weather. They're more sort of fair weather pilots. If you're on the East Coast or West Coast, you're probably more accustomed to flying in these conditions. But out here, we don't do it so much. So the news of the day is that the Aerostar was a bust, unfortunately, and there's an episode where I explain that and my reasons for bailing on the Aerostar. Unfortunately, I had big plans for it. And what I did instead is I took some of the proceeds from selling the Aerostar and I poured them into this project, which might end up being a disaster. We'll have to see. But this project is my newly acquired Mooney Mustang, which, if you recall, or if you've seen on this channel, I did a video about it when my buddy Kevin used to own it, and I bought it from him. And the Mooney Mustang is a truly unique airplane. It was the first single-engine piston pressurized airplane. Mooney paved the way for Cessna and Piper to ultimately design the 210 and the Malibu. But Mooney pioneered the single piston engine pressurized airplane. And so I'm really excited about this because I have plans of restoring it. No, it doesn't need much, but definitely getting it to a total functioning status. And as you can see here, I have the engine cowlings that are up, and you can see the massive TSIO 541 A1A model. See some of the compressions. This one was just about acceptable. And the cowling's pretty cool because it has this stand arm here for keeping it up, so I like that. You can see here the massive turbo that it has. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Learning a new plane is always interesting. Here we can see the compressions on the right-hand side, 70, 80, 72. So pretty good compressions. And I've already started by doing an oil change, even though that was supposed to be done at the latest annual. I don't think it was, because that oil looks, well, the oil does not look new. Let's just put it that way. And also I'm having to change the oil filter, which is in here. It's an older style. It takes these cartridges. They don't do these anymore, but you can still buy the cartridges. They come with some O-ring sets. And you can see here, this is what it looks like. Just a round cylinder with cardboard filter. And that goes in that cylinder. So I'll show that later. The interior is original, I believe. It's just a little bit stained, so I need to clean that up. But otherwise, in good shape. Not sure I'm going to change the interior. Might upgrade the curtains, but that's about it. And it's in good shape. The pressurization is impressive because this door has to be completely sealed. And what I noticed on this airplane is that they use some kind of household sealant, or seal, I should call it. So this isn't appropriate. This needs to be changed. So we'll be looking for something to do that. And so yeah, so there's a few things that need to be done in order for it to be back to its former glory. Primarily just making sure that all the engine maintenance is done up to date. And then that all the engine instruments work properly, because we have a few intermittent problems with those. Here you can see the pressurized baggage compartment, and this one has more of a more rugged seal, and this is the kind of seal we need to find to replace the one around the door, so we'll have to look for that. This baggage compartment area is pretty sizable. Some models had a fifth chair, which you can see here is the mount for it. Here's one of them, and here's the other. And you could mount a seat here, a fifth seat, and I think it would mount here somewhere. But obviously it's a bit cramped back here. You could get a small child in here, but honestly I don't intend to use it. Most of them are four-seaters. And you can put up to 270 pounds back here in the baggage compartment, so that's pretty impressive. Yep. This seal's nice and tight. When we do the pressurization test with soapy water, I don't think we'll see much here. Most of it's going to be around the door seal. And then the engine instruments are intermittent. And we've got to figure that out. It could be a faulty indicator, or it could just be some faulty wires, or a faulty sensor. It's one of the three. And we'll see how we get that all to work. But you can see here the original panel. There's a few instruments that aren't. There's a fuel flow gauge over there that's more modern. But everything else I think is original. Maybe not this Loran. That Loran might be more modern, but still old by today's standards. But here, let me clean that lens. And you can see the old style transponder here on the right, and nav, VOR, approach. Yeah, interesting stuff. The old Britain Autopilot. This fascinating Autopilot. It's pneumatic, meaning it's the servos are actuated by pressurized balloons, which I will show you now. So let's go behind the plane here. You can see here inside this compartment that we have, this is the servo to the rudder, and over here is the servo to the elevator. And so this rudder, both of them have these balloons that inflate or deflate depending on which way you want to activate the rudder. And likewise on the elevator, and then I don't have the one for the wings actually visible, but we'll see if we can get it working. If we can't, then we'll simply look into maybe retrofitting a more modern Autopilot if it's allowed. And if they don't allow us, then we have no choice. We're going to have to go to an experimental status in order to make modifications to this aircraft if we're unable to get field approval in a certified fashion. But that will be a whole different video. Anyway, yes, so the pressurized vessel is this whole compartment, of course. And you can tell that here because if you look at the back of this, you see this spherical shape here to the rear of the pressure vessel, and with these relief valves on either side. So this is very unique. You don't see this every day. It's almost like they were building a spherical tank and then built the rest of the plane around it. So quite impressive. And then there's other things. This is part of the pneumatic servo system for the Autopilot. And then up here we have an old magnometer. And this magnometer is quite big, but this is the old style ones. And that helps drive the Autopilot as well. Anything else of interest back here? I'm sure there is, but I'll get to it some other time. And what you can see is basically This plane is massive. I'm 6'1", wearing shoes, and this plane towers over me. I normally tower over a regular Mooney. So this Mooney is what I'd call a real size airplane for me. Just massive airplane, but it still fits in my tea hangar. But the comfort inside is next level, especially in the rear seats. I mean, it is extremely comfortable for passengers, and I guess it would be quite comfortable for long trips. It has the range. Let's see, the book, I think, says it can do up to 1,400 miles in range, so quite a distance, and it can do that up to in excess of 200 knots if you're really pushing it. So it's quite a unique and fast airplane, definitely a high-performance airplane. And kudos to Mooney for trying this, for coming out with the first single-engine piston. There's a little bit of aviation history. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them because they had trouble commercializing it. But and their timing wasn't that great, late 60s, early 70s, economically speaking. So that's a shame. But definitely a very unique airplane. And I'm now the proud owner of it. And as you can see, the paint's in original. And we'll be looking into getting the paint done. And but will we keep it in the original paint scheme? Will we go with something a little bit different? Please don't hesitate to share your thoughts. I'd be happy to take into any suggestions on that. But yeah, so I'm going to be messing around a little bit with this airplane for the next month. And then hopefully we'll get it back in the air to my standards. But it has flown recently, and it had a recent it had a recent inspection. It has a sign-off for its annual. But, oops, sorry for the airplane. So my standards are going to be a little bit higher than the annual inspection that was done just recently, and it did fly here about a week ago. And I'm going to get it all nice and running. I might upgrade the avionics. I am trying to keep it as original as possible, but I don't know that that's the safe move. So we'll be looking at upgrading the avionics, the Autopilot. If we hit too many stumbling blocks, because of the lack of STCs, or we can't get a field approval, then I'll have to bite the bullet and transfer it to experimental exhibition status, which will then allow me to make any modifications that I want to this airplane, which could involve the power plant, the Autopilot, whatever I want. That comes at a cost of $1,700, which is acceptable. That's what I was quoted by a DAR, I know. But it does have as a consequence that you have to file a letter of, letter of operations every year, where you have to tell the FAA where you're going to fly. And so that means listing all your destinations for every month. That's a little tedious, and not sure it's necessary because a lot of experimental planes don't have to do it, and it's only for the experimental exhibition. But nonetheless, it's worth doing if it means I can upgrade this plane to show-level quality and fly it around the country to these different air shows, which is my intention. I purchased this airplane knowing that it was going to be a project, and that I would not just become the owner, but I would become the custodian of this little piece of aviation history, and I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I've already set up the website. And the website, surprisingly, was available, MooneyMustang.com. And I was surprised that that domain was still available, and so I grabbed it. And now it points to this airplane. I'll also be making an inventory of other Mustangs that still exist, tracking them down, seeing if any of them are still flying. I've heard of 2 flying. I know of 1 flying. There was only 36 made, so there might be only 3 left flying. But maybe we can get more in the air if this is a success. I did a small event here locally at our Double Eagle Airport. I did the, what was it called? Double Eagle Open Day, whatever. It got rained out a bit, but there's still a lot of people that attended. And I had a line of people wanting to see this plane. They'd never seen one and asking me questions, and it was a lot of fun. And I look forward to doing it at other airports around the country. So stay tuned, subscribe and like to this video if you want to follow along, but it's going to be fun. All right, thank you.